Hi, what's up, everyone? I am talking today to Linda Cajuste, who is in Montreal. Hi, Linda. How's it going?
Hi, Brune. I'm very good, thank you.
Cool. So it's actually our common friend, Nisha Coleman, who mentioned or who like put us in contact.
Yes.
And you're going to tell a story on Bodies of Stories number 7 on July 12th. So you actually took her workshop, her storytelling workshop in Montreal. What made you want to take that workshop?
First of all, I it was a new library. There was this new library that I have. I live in the West Island, so we have a new library there, and they offered all kinds of like creative classes. And I always like to keep myself being creative, and so when I saw Intro to Storytelling, I was like, oh, that's like a great opportunity to just keep myself like creating and just like I guess challenge myself because I've been doing improv for a while, so dabble in something new. And so I always had that in the back of my mind. And yeah, I was like, okay, I'm up for the challenge, and let's. And also I like telling stories. Like I write, so it was good for even for my writing creativity, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So tell us about improv. Tell us about that. How long have you been doing it? And yeah.
Yes, I've been doing improv. I would say for about 7 years, almost 8, I believe. It flew by, honestly.
Yeah.
Yes, I really enjoy doing improv. When I started 7 years ago, basically, I just tried to just okay take a class to improve my creativity. Again, it was for my writing. I was like, I want to be more spontaneous. I want to be a bit more creative. So there was this intro class, and I was like, okay, you know what? No pressure. It's just gonna be 4 weeks. And I'm just gonna take those 4 weeks. It's gonna help me. I'm gonna meet like people, creative people, and then that'll be it.
Yeah.
But after those 4 classes, it was so much fun, and really it opened up like another part like of my personality, I guess.
Mm.
And I got very intrigued, and yeah, I got sucked into it, and I met those great people as well. So lots
Yeah.
of good friends, and it was really fun. So I just stayed there for until now. I'm still there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you were about to get up on stage before lockdown, right?
Yes. So right before lockdown this year, so I had a storytelling event that was planned. This one was in French, en fabulation with Juliana. So and I had my stories like workshop and everything. I again with Nisha. It's just like so and I was ready to go. However, I got really sick during the winter, and right before, I guess like a few days before, I completely lost my voice.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I was unable. I had to just cancel my appearance, and that was like a bummer because I really wanted to
Yeah.
go on stage, and then afterwards, it was just like I guess maybe a week after it was completely locked down. So
Mm.
never had a chance to tell that story for now, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Other opportunities to say it.
Yeah, definitely. And so going back to the storytelling workshop, you said that it opened up something in you. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, for the storytelling, like, yeah, I just like the fact that okay, I mean, it's things that comes from your experience, and sometimes like you can even go back into your childhood memories and everything. So it's just like, oh yeah, I remember this event, and sometimes it's just like you think it's your small events, but they're actually small details that could lead to a bigger story. Sometimes
Yeah.
stuff that you thought that were very funny or just like, well, this is how we're like at my house or how I grew up, but actually it could make a very funny or even not even funny, but it could be just like a very intriguing story.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, so I find this part fun because you dig down a bit into
Yeah.
yourself and your history.
Mm-hmm. You discover meaning.
Yes, yes, definitely. And like I said, I also like the structure because even like writing a story, you have to like okay start and bring your viewers or your readers. You have to bring them into a journey. So it's just
Yeah.
not about telling the story itself, but you have to kind of like the ups and downs and
Yeah.
the suspense and
Yeah. 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 I like that. The ingredients, like,
Yes, exactly.
yeah. So did you actually go to a storytelling show
Yes,
before? Yeah.
yeah, I did. I did, and I saw also because like at the storytelling workshop, we listened to a lot of storytelling. Some we saw on YouTube, some like yeah, Nisha, like she suggested us, and even in class, like we listened to some like the moth.
Yeah.
So different kind of stories, just to have like a good sense of like, every story can be different. It could be could be funny, but not necessarily. It could be bringing you into a journey. So it was fun to see all those kinds of like how different people tell different stories a different way.
Yeah. It's so interesting to get into like what actually happens, like how a story is actually constructed, or because when we listen to a story, our brain is like wired to follow the journey without realizing what's going on, like how it's set up to be enthralling and intriguing. And so yeah, it's actually so interesting to go into like, oh, like it made me feel this way because that's what the person did with that sentence. Yeah, it's cool.
Exactly.
I actually took like the almost the same workshop with Nisha 2 years ago. So it's like, oh yeah, like so many cool memories of like listening to stories together. And
Yes.
yeah. Oh, that's nice. And so, yeah, you went to storytelling shows, and now you're going to tell a story on Bodies of Stories next Sunday. How do you feel about telling a story behind your laptop?
Um, it's different, but I mean, I'm up for the challenge, and also, I mean, because of like lockdown, I've been, I guess, perfecting my technique of transmitting. I'm hoping that transmitting like the way that I talk, like on a social platform, because you talk to so many people, especially those past 3 months, like online. And so telling a stories, I would hope like it's gonna be different, but I think it's gonna be a fun challenge to just like the transmitting the fun emotions. And yeah, and fun fact, I just recently took my first improv class online, so
Yeah.
that too was totally different. So
Yeah.
just like how to convey stuff and play with the camera. There's something sometimes like, okay, you look at the camera, it's like your surroundings. There's a lot of things, but I guess yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so interesting, because I always thought that improv was the one thing that would be challenging on Zoom. Like, but I
It's
guess,
different.
yeah,
It's different. Of course, like my own opinion is like, for sure you cannot replace like the live kind of like looking in the eyes of your partners, and that's different for sure. But I mean, it's different, and it's funny at the same way to just like, okay, what can we do while on a platform? And it's still like you find ways to be very like collaborative. It's just different. It's
yeah,
different.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, any kind of new constraints makes us creative, right? So we find a way.
Exactly. You kind of have to be open to like, it's not going to be the same. So if you already tell yourself that it's not going to be the same, I guess it
Yeah,
will be easier to kind of like find the fun between those parameters. But if you think it's going to be exactly the same, then you might be
yeah,
disappointed because
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
going to be the same.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like typical conversation I used to have like before lockdown when I was doing my storytelling show online, and people were like, "Oh, but I prefer in person." And it's like, yes, but some people do not have access to storytelling shows in their town. So like this is something that's different, but it's still like about storytelling. It's still about vulnerability and sharing personal stories and being in the same space together. And like it was hard for people to believe it until they saw it,
Yes.
until they felt it, that they
Yeah.
actually were in community, even though it was behind laptops and stuff. So
Yes, yes, I do feel, and what I like also is like you said, you can meet people from all over, like people who didn't have access, or sometimes people who don't live in the same physical place.
yeah,
Like, so you take classes, you do shows like online, like you meet people from all over, and that's something that we were not able to do sometimes, like physically. So that's like
yeah,
a, I find.
yeah, cool. Well, I'm super excited to have you on the show, and thank you so much for talking to me
Thank you so
today.
much for having me. I'm excited too.
All right, see you soon.
See you
Bye.
soon.